Welcome. Is your spirit calling you for a greater purpose? Well, this is Gloria Coppola, and I want to thank you for attending our webinar or listening to the replay, and hoping that some of these tips and stories will help guide you to your greater purpose. So, we had a few technical difficulties, so I did this voiceover, and then it's going to pick up right where the webinar kind of got a little glitch, and I apologize, but most of the information is here. If you have any questions, my information is at the end, and I would be glad to chat with you. Now, remember, I have a couple of freebies, and I think you're going to like them, so hang in there until the end so you learn more about them. Have a great day, and here we go. Lost and sure. Well, I'm in my 60s here, and I was confused when I was a kid. I was confused when I was a teenager in my 30s, and sometimes I get confused now too. So that's normal, especially when we're not living our purpose, when we're not following our dreams. And we sit there sometimes and maybe we're listening to other people in our lives. They're directing us a certain way because that's what they want. Maybe sometimes we're just afraid to take a leap and try something new. Maybe sometimes, we have learned so much in life that we think we know it all, and therefore we don't open to other possibilities or new ideas. So, if you're unclear about things, well, that's what we're here about tonight, to talk a little bit about that and how to get clear. And I happen to be a clarity coach. That's one of the things over the years that when I was unsure and unclear what I was supposed to do, I said a prayer and found out that everything that was leading me up to something about 10 years ago showed me that I have a gift, and you all have a gift. And that's what I want you to tap into, okay? So let's try to get this next slide moving here. Okay, so but you're sitting here saying, but I just don't know what my gift is. I don't know how to tap into it. I don't even know where to begin. Well, that's okay, because you know what? Most of us think we don't know, but in actuality, we kind of have a feeling about it, but we just don't trust it. So we're going to talk about trusting that. But I want to ask you right now, why are you here? You made a choice tonight to come on. And so I want you to think about that. Why did you decide to come on to this webinar tonight? What was it that attracted you to it? So something, maybe the title about spirit calling you was what brought you here tonight. But now what? What are we going to do now? Okay. Well, we're going to talk about trusting your intuition and having faith in these things. Faith is so important, and I talk about that in my coaching program as well. And so sometimes when you're confused, but you have a feeling, but you don't go along with it, that's your intuition. It's your gut feelings. And very often people will say, gosh, I knew I should have done that, but I just didn't trust that that was the right thing to do. Can you relate? Raise your hand, right? So that thing called intuition is actually your soul speaking. And you know what? You can trust it. But here's something that I learned, and it was really recent, okay? I've gone through different phases in life, and I'm sure you have too, about trusting your intuition, getting more in tune with it, really listening to it. And then if you're like me, some people said, oh, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. That's psycho mumbo jumbo, right? And they don't believe it. But if you keep having these feelings, sooner or later, you're going to have to pay attention to it. And that is that voice inside. And so faith for me is something I'm evaluating. Faith in myself, faith in all the different things that I believe in, and then being able to trust that. So that is huge. So I'm going to ask you tonight to kind of go along with this and trust this process, because your intuition is actually a muscle. And if we don't use it, we lose it, right? And so a lot of times in our lives, there's different things that are happening to us, and we can say to ourselves, gosh, everything is going wrong, or why is this always happening to me? Or I can't make sense of, all these different family dynamics and drama happening in my life. But there's something inside that's calling out to you, something that is saying, Gloria, why don't you do this? Why don't you try this? Okay. And Gloria might say to herself, yeah, but. So if you can relate to that, that's what I'm talking about. So if I put it out there that tomorrow I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to make a choice, a powerful choice to trust my intuition and actually develop that muscle as if I was going to the gym, as if I was going to do sit-ups. and waking up in the morning and saying to myself, okay, I want to be more in touch with the feelings I have. I want to notice them, but I also want to notice the things around me, okay? Because sometimes you'll get a feeling about something when you walk in a room. Have you ever walked in a room and there's somebody in that room that you're just immediately attracted to? I know there's somebody on this panelist that saw somebody in her life at one point in time, and she said, I just know I'm going to marry that man. And guess what? She eventually did. So how did she know that? How she didn't really know him, but she knew this. And then there's other times you walk into a room and you're like, oh, I don't want to go near that person. There's just something about them, okay? So that muscle has to get developed, and you have to pay attention to that and listen so that you can develop it. So here are some questions I'm going to ask you so that you can start getting more in touch with your intuition, more in touch with your spirit when it is talking to you. Ask yourself now, what makes you feel alive? You know, I've got a list of things that make me feel alive, and some of them are actually on here. So, you know, I love art, and when I'm creating in any mode, whether it's art or programs for you guys, I feel alive. And I love helping others, you know, being in the healing arts for 35 years and being a mom and a grandmother. Well, it's a natural thing to want to help people. And then I love photography. When I look at my pictures and I say, oh my gosh, I'm not even professional, but look at how beautiful they are. So I want you to ask yourself, what makes you feel alive? Because those are the things that are bubbling up inside of you where your spirit is saying, hey, listen, I want to direct you in this way, but please listen. So when you're in this energy and you're feeling all this great vibration going on, which I am right now because I have been creating a lot and writing a lot and developing all these things and then getting ready to travel really soon and hike. These are the things that I'm being guided to do. Now, I had a conversation this morning with someone, and I said, you know, I could look at everything that's happening in my life right now if I was to map it out on a piece of paper and pencil and get logical and say, this doesn't look like a practical thing that you should do right now. How many times have you told yourself that, right? Maybe it's not in your budget. Maybe it's not really in the time frame that you want to do something. You know, there's all these maybes that come up. But here's the thing. When you're listening to your intuition, when spirit is talking to you and saying, but you know what? I really want you to go here, or I really think you should create something fabulous out of a new recipe, you know, whatever it is. When you start to listen and you do more of that, it is amazing what doorways begin to open. So I'm going to encourage you to pay attention to that, because there is no greater gift you can give or receive than to honor your calling. And it's why we were born and how you truly become alive. So think about, what is your calling? You know, when we were younger, we probably had a lot of dreams, right? I know when I was younger, you know, some people have wanted to, but this lady, guess what? I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a counselor or a coach. You know, I had all this list of things I wanted to do. And one day I was teaching in Hawaii, and and I wanted to be a dancer. And I realized as I was teaching my class, I was a teacher. And there's certain points that you actually have to be an actor, because you have to be animated in teaching, right? So that people stay interested. And then I was chanting, and that's using my voice, right? And then I was doing hula, so I was dancing. And then I was coaching people along the way and counseling them through different things. So all the things as a kid that were bubbling through me actually have come to fruition. And I've always loved to travel. I'd be packing my bag since I was a little girl, and that's still part of it. So what has been calling you all of your life? All of your life. Think about it. Go back and think about that. And imagine you're standing out here on the edge of this log, just ready to pick one of those things, or two or five or whatever, and take a leap. Take a leap into doing something that you've been putting on hold for a long time. You know, I'm going to go backwards in time a little bit and recall when I had lived in Hawaii, when I moved there after a tragic, or what looked like a tragic situation in my life that actually turned into putting me more directly on my path. I remember thinking, I don't know who I am. You know, all these things that I put back here as I was being a mom and running a business that never got to be done, I started looking at them and saying, gosh, I would love to find an art instructor. I would love to go for more dancing lessons, belly dancing. I would love to do all these different things that I never got to do. So is there something you've been putting on hold? Because I'm going to ask you to take a leap of faith and jump down into it or fly up into it, whichever feels right for you, and make a decision to do something, okay, that you've been waiting for. So I told you about a gift, but I'm going to give you that gift at the end, so just hang on. But I want you to know you're going to get it, okay? So I talked about faith earlier, and I learned early on in life to have faith. Faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice to trust God, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. You know, a few months ago, I made a decision. And it was a tough decision because sometimes, you know, we don't walk away from certain things, jobs, relationships, whatever, because of a lot of different reasons. Maybe we feel secure and stable. Maybe we don't know what is on that other side. And, you know, we don't like that uncertainty. And I sat with that for about 1.5 years, processing it through. And then I had to take that leap of faith and I had to learn to trust myself. And I had to allow myself to trust God, that He always had my back. And it was interesting because I have a painting I made of a symbol that came about to me in a meditation many years ago to focus on my path. And I woke up one morning and I put my hands up on the top of it where the universe is vast. Okay, there's this picture with the top half is just all these beautiful stars. And when I put my hands up there, I realized there was so much, like in this picture, that I could not see in those clouds, way, way out there. But there was such a sense of peace inside of me that I kind of just leaned back and I said, universe, I'm going to trust you on this one. And I have not made a mistake with any of that. And that's one of the reasons you're here tonight, because I trusted this decision to move forward. So I am listening to my instincts with an open mind and an open heart. Is it easy? No. Could it be? Yes. So say that to yourself. I listen to my instincts with an open mind and open heart. And when our mind is open, it means we are going to allow other concepts, beliefs, information to come in. And while you will discern and evaluate what works for you, you're going to allow yourself to let this information in that maybe you did not see or hear before. And when we open our heart, it's amazing what can happen. And I'm going to tell you about that in just a little bit. But first, I want to tell you about this little girl who wanted to go to Hawaii, but she didn't know why and she didn't know how. But it was a dream since I was a little girl. And I got to study with Kahuna and learn about balance, you know, be a kinder person, pay reverence to the earth, co-create. We are co-creating right here, right now. I got to heal myself and learn about humility and honor my spirit. And so when this little girl had this feeling bubbling up inside of her at the age of 5 that she had to go to Hawaii, and she tried to make it there 5 other times and it didn't happen, she didn't give up. Now, how often do you put things, you say, well, I did make a decision, I did try this, but it didn't work. Well, did you know that everything is in divine timing? It's like the last webinar when I talked about you plant a seed in the dirt. But before you planted that seed in the dirt, you probably had to go out and buy the seeds, right? And maybe you even had to buy the dirt if you're putting it in a pot. And then what happens? You had to water it and nurture it and give it sun and all these other things, right? And then it sprouted, but some of those seeds sprouted and some of them didn't. And that's kind of like what happened with me on this journey. Some of them didn't sprout in that time. Something wasn't ideal. Maybe it didn't get enough sun, whatever. So this is all symbolic on this trip too. So why did I not go to Hawaii at these other stages in my life? Because they were not in the right time. And when we understand that everything has a timing for us, then we understand how that frequency, how that energy comes to us, and we have that patience, that faith, and that trust to go the distance. So going to Hawaii, I never knew how it was going to happen, but God placed me in the situation to wake up one day after all these other things are happening in my life, which were challenging, and say, you know what? You always wanted to do this. Do it now. I didn't stop to think and say, but I can't, but it's not right, but I'm grieving. I didn't do that. I aligned myself to make it happen. And I was going to go for 1 month and went for 7 years because all these other things were planned for me by a greater plan to learn all of this and to fully begin to embrace who I am. And that was only the beginning, okay? So remember, you've got to keep paying attention to the signs, to your intuition, and when the right timing comes, then the right seed sprouts up, and then what happens after that? Life begins to blossom, right? So don't doubt that it's not working. It just may not be working in your time, okay? So I want to tell you another little story on how we got to where we are, and then I'm going to bring on one of our panelists. This is a beautiful fountain, actually in Peru. And well, I was sitting there one evening with a young gentleman that I met in Peru that was part of a missionary trip that I went on, which was also a voice and a dream that came to me to go to Peru because it wasn't on my goal list. It wasn't on my to-do list like Hawaii was or Egypt was or Italy was. This one came to me in a dream. But you know what? I avoided that for a while. But for 3 years, those coincidences kept popping up. Things were showing up. Emails were showing up. There was a woman in one of my classes. She was Peruvian. Like, what's the odds of that, right? So I decided, what? I have to make a choice, right? I have to make a choice. This keeps showing up. It's not on my goal list, my to-do list. It's not even something I wanted a long time ago, but I have to listen. So this is part of when spirit is knocking and saying, hey, I am trying to wake you up to something else that is going to gift you another part of this spirit that's going to come alive. So it took me to Peru. And on this missionary trip, my heart began to open. And it began to heal from the loss and the grieving I went through for several years. And that was amazing. And the one young Peruvian gentleman that was part of all this, he was, you know, around me a lot, helping me with suitcases, chatting, and he kept telling me he loved me. And that was great. And I took it very superficially, but that's not what he meant. One evening, he said to me at dinner, he says, this is my last night with the group when you guys go forward. He says, can we go for a walk in the plaza? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Should I do that? You know, is that like the right thing to do? Well, come on, Gloria. Somebody's telling you go for the walk because you never know what growth is going to happen for you. So here we are, and we're sitting right at that fountain. So imagine yourself sitting there. And this handsome Peruvian young gentleman, 20 years you're less than I was, is telling you how beautiful you are and how amazing you are and how much in love he is with you. And you're doubting that, right? You're totally doubting it. You've got all these voices in your head that are saying, oh, how could he love you? You're so much older. Oh, he probably just wants to get to America. You ever have voices in your head that stop you from something? And then he took his hands and he put them around my face, ever so soft and gently. He looked deeply, intensely into my eyes, and he said, you have much to learn about love. And at first my ego was like, oh, please. But then inside I was like, oh my God, he's right. He is absolutely right. And so over the last 16 years, I have been learning about love on different levels in different ways, and my role in this lifetime to help others attract and find love in their work, in their careers, in their relationships, all of this. Pretty amazing, huh? Now, if I hadn't gone to Peru, and I hadn't gone for that walk, would we be sitting here today? So I would love for all of us to just follow the path of our heart, no matter how long it takes. Because just like it took me time to get to Hawaii, and it took me time to get to this point in my life, everything is in its right time. So at this point, I am going to unmute one of our guests, and I'm going to introduce her to you because she's a pretty amazing lady. Gail Wood, who lives in North Carolina, is a massage therapist, but she's also an amazing business coach. She's extremely successful, and so, I sit here and say, well, here's a woman who is so successful in her life. Why would she take another coaching program? Why would she do that? And so she joined, my coaching program. But there's something happening for her in a short period of time because she jumped in on a pre-launch, meaning the program hadn't even officially started. And so she's getting dribbles of some information. And I just thought how fun it would be here for you to hear how these little shifts are happening for Gail just because she's decided to follow the path of her heart. So Gail, I'd love to welcome you here tonight.
Thank you, Gloria.
And tell your story a little bit.
Okay, I would be happy to. So, like Gloria said, I've been in business for many years, and I've worked with different principles of manifesting and the law of attraction and things like that. I've built up storefront businesses, online businesses, but I just got to the point where I started to feel like something's missing, and I wanted to dive into that and figure out what that might be. And I kept seeing Gloria's posts on Facebook of all the things that she loved every day, and I was just so attracted to that. And this little light bulb went off in my head about attracting what I love versus manifesting what I want. And even just saying those two sentences, you can kind of feel the difference. One is more of an energy of pushing and trying and trying to get something, and the other is just an energy of, oh, I can just relax and be myself and let what I love happen, So I was very interested in what she was doing, and I started doing the posts each day of posting what I love, and I started seeing some shifts just from that. The responses that people were getting and little things in my life, like all of a sudden, I just posted, I love having a clean house. And out of the blue, my husband and my son, who are not very helpful around the house, they started helping me clean up every night.
Okay. So in the past, they weren't helpful because we're going to be really clear on our thoughts, our words, everything we put out there. Because Gail, you made a really good point. It's very different to talk about attracting what you love, which is an energy, versus, like you said, trying to work so hard at manifesting something, but it happened for you because of your wording. So we don't want to negate that and take it away. We want to keep it on that frequency. And I love watching you write, I love this. I love, hanging with my son, So continue your story and tell us what's happening for you.
And it's so neat because it's just a change of my focus. So, and I've just been wanting for a while. I feel like, over the past 20 years, I've been raising kids, I've been working, and I've kind of lost some of that connection with spirit and with my intuition. And I know that's something that I want to have back in my life. And I know, being a coach, that one of the best ways to do that is to invest in yourself, because joining a program like I've joined with Gloria, now I've got something that I can follow that kind of lays out some steps and ideas for me. I've got accountability with the group to stay on track, because I can study this stuff myself. I have for years, but putting it into action and being consistent with it is what really makes the difference. And that's what I feel like being in a program like this is helping me to do that. And also just having people to say, hey, you know, like Gloria and I were talking about in my coaching session, we were talking about detachment and kind of saying, hey, you know what, this situation or this problem isn't really mine. Like, I've taken on things that I didn't need to into my mental space, and they were confusing me and cluttering me up. And we're talking about detachment, and just having her to say, well, you know, detachment makes me feel like I'm uncaring and that's not a nice thing to do. And she just really helped me to reframe that in a positive way. And that is so important, to have somebody to bounce your ideas off of and say, hey, this is coming up for me. You know, can you help me navigate this a little bit and stay on track? So, and then in general, I've just been feeling calmer. I've been more just maybe able to be in the moment with my son and not just always so up in my head planning the future. So it's just been so fun and nice. And I feel a lot of good things happening in my life. And I'm just excited because I just know that something really awesome is going to happen.
I'm ready. You're in the energy now. You're in that vortex of energy of bringing to you what you love. And love is a very high vibration. You know, we could talk about all kinds of love, and I love this and I love that. And then we could, like you said, get involved in all this other drama in our life. But when we look at it, like you said, I'm really glad you brought up the detachment part, and we step out and be the observer of things happening in our life, we realize that is not where we have to be. That is not our concern or our business. That's between another person or persons, okay, where they are involved in their own life and their own energies, you know. And for you, like you said, you're concerned about not being a caring person, and it had nothing to do with that, because you do care, but you also care about yourself. And I really want to put that out there to everybody. It really is caring for ourselves, because when we care for ourselves, then we listen to spirit guide ourselves, the people in our lives respond, and you got a clean house. That's pretty cool. Did I lose you? Okay, I think she froze up a little bit. But I want to thank Gail for coming on, because I admire what she does. And like I said, I know that she is an
yeah, and one other one is...
Oh, there you go. You there?
Thank you.
Okay, you're going in and out, but thank you anyway. So Gail will be back, I'm sure, again.
Going in and out. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I know she's got to get her son to bed tonight too, and so I appreciate that she came on tonight. So hope you're following this and listening to this and realizing that just some of the simple little things that Gail did are already bringing to her things that she loves. So if you were to do that and just every day make a gratitude list of 10 things that you're thankful for and that you love within your day, and you committed to that, imagine what would open to you. But now I want to talk about some questions, and let's answer some of these key questions for yourself. Okay, we talked about what makes you feel alive. So when are you most fulfilled? This is important. When are you most fulfilled in the things that you're doing? Or are you just going through the motions of surviving in life, doing a job, taking care of things, and you're not really feeling fulfilled? Matter of fact, you're feeling exhausted. So this is an important question to ask yourself. When are you most fulfilled? For example, maybe you're being called to go somewhere. Maybe you want to go to Ireland. Maybe you want to go to Egypt. Maybe you just want to go somewhere in your own state, and there's something that's telling you to go. But you don't, because you say, I can't, I have to work, I don't have the money. So here I'm going to stop you right there. We have to start being truthful to ourselves. When we say, I don't have, Really be careful with that, because if you say you don't have, things are going to get taken away from you. Just like for Gail, when she's putting out what she loves, more of that is coming through. So we may not have a budget for certain things, but the fact is, if you're on the internet, you have money for the internet. So you do have money. Now, when we look at I don't have time, time is really about where you want to put your priorities, and you probably have heard this. So if your spirit is saying, I really need to go do this, just like mine told me about Hawaii and changed my life, took me to Egypt, and if you haven't read my blogs yet on my website, go. I'm doing a series that'll show you a whole nother paradigm of perception, which took me to Peru, which was not on my list, okay? So when spirit is talking, when your soul is knocking at your door, you got to ask yourself, how can I make it happen? How can I make it happen? And then, what are you being called to do? You know, are you doing what you're actually being called to do, or are you doing the things that you think you should be doing or have to do? And so when I say, what are you being called to do? Just like I was called to go do that missionary work, well, I'm getting called to do that again on another level, okay? And you probably have some calling out there. Maybe you've been feeling a certain way for years and years and years. But again, you tell yourself all these things about why you can't. Well, what if that calling you have, you took that leap, you trusted, and you went and did whatever it is? Maybe it's something local in your own community. I saw a friend, her and some people in her community just started helping homeless people and bringing them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and bananas and stuff. That was a calling she had. And I saw her post it on Facebook, and I thought, well, how awesome is that? So ask yourself, what are you being called to do, and how can you make that happen? Maybe it is through the missionary work or volunteer tourism, as they talk. Matter of fact, in Peru, that's what we did. We did volunteer tourism. You know, we allowed ourselves to go to different orphanages and bring supplies and so forth, while we were also seeing sacred sites. So there's ways of doing both, and then you can get to see a place and serve as well. So whatever it is, but here's what I want to ask you. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? Ask yourself these questions. What holds you back? Are you saying time and money? Because I want you to take that off your list right now. Maybe you don't have clarity. Maybe you're saying to me, well, I really don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's why we have coaches, just like, you know, for Gail, I assisted her to see things differently. But ask yourself, why did you show up tonight? Why did you come on here? Were you just curious? Were you looking for answers? Because the time is now, and the signs are being shown to you, just like we are talking tonight. They're being shown to you. Now, ask yourself, who supports you? Because if you don't have support, it makes it a little harder. And like Gail said, and I know from personal experience, because I'm in another coaching program for myself, I've invested in myself, I need to be around like-minded people. Because maybe, you know, in my own family, maybe, or even maybe some of my friends, maybe they don't understand, although some of them understand that I'm wild and free and do things off the norm a little bit by now, but that doesn't mean they agree with me, right? But who's going to actually support me? Who's going to encourage me? So who will encourage you, lift you up, inspire you, and support you in that process? And how do you get going? How do you get going? Well, I'm going to put on our next panelist, Patty, because Patty is going to tell you, and I'm going to unmute you, Patty, how she got going. Patty is a dear friend and colleague of mine, also in the massage and healing arts professional. She also lives in Florida here with me. She's a delightful woman. She's one of the most caring, loving women I know. So when she wanted to take this program to attract more of what she loved, I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what this is going to do for Patty. So Patty, welcome to our program tonight about Is Spirit Calling You? And tell us a little bit what Spirit was saying to you and how it got you going here.
Thank you, Gloria. having gone through a lot of different things through my life, when you talked about how you were, puzzled about what to do and where to go, there were a lot of things like that. I've always been told I was a positive person. And yet, when I've had coaching from you, from other folks, they were always saying, you say, I can't. You say all these negative things. And it took me aback. And so after I started with the pre-launch, I've always been one to have an attitude of gratitude, because that's what life is all about. And without it, you don't get anywhere. One of the biggest shifts for me is now, instead of saying I can't, I look at, well, how can I? Just like you were just saying. Or for example, why me? Why always me? I'm going now, well, why not me? What can I learn from this to go forward? So that whole perspective, that shift of the mindset, watching what I am saying, how I'm saying it, has really changed things. My heart is lighter. I'm feeling much more at peace. And there's been an acceptance of myself since I've gone through all this. So it's been a great eye opener for me, for someone who thought, oh, I'm Pollyanna, and yet there was that back spot. So I'm not going back there and getting rid of all the negative thoughts and the voices that were in my head saying you weren't good enough. I am good enough, and I'm going forward. I'm taking that leap of faith.
Thanks, Patty. Patty, you do come across as a very caring, loving, Pollyanna type of person. So I'm really glad that you brought up that, your thoughts and words that you would use sometimes weren't always as positive as what your energy kind of that you put out there with that beautiful smile. And you caught yourself. And you had a coach that caught you too, but that would say, hey, what can you do? What can you do? And so this is what, I just want people to really focus on. When your thoughts are pure, okay, you can listen clearer, you can tap into source, you can pay attention more, you get out of all that drama in your life, okay? So Patty, you've got some great things happening in a really short period of time of working with these tools. And something big is coming up. You want to tell people what that is?
Well, I have been thinking in the back mind of actually growing my business and finding a larger place. And I finally decided to say, you know what? It's what I'm being called to do. The visions have been happening more and more. I have found a place. I'm hoping the landlord will go through, because there's another group that saw the office before me. However, I had claimed it. I have been sharing it with my clients. I've been having visions of what this office is going to look like. And I will know by Friday. And if not, I've got other places to look at. But it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen.
Good. I love that. I love that. And remember, it's in the timing of the exact right place. So we want to avoid, that whole ego place, that this is what I want, and don't get disappointed if it doesn't work out. But if it's meant to be and it's in its right timing, then you're going to be there.
Okay, absolutely.
Patty. All right, Patty. Well, we're going to move on, and I want to thank you for stopping by and sharing your story.
Thank you.
So basically what Patty did was she made a decision, not an excuse. She made a decision for her life, just like Gail did, just like I did, and just like you did, to be here tonight. Because you know what? Decisions, those moments, are what they define your destiny. They shape your destiny. And if you know Tony Robbins, he's a very dynamic speaker and presenter out there that is, helping people change their lives. So it is in those moments of a decision that your destiny is shaped. So whatever piece you got tonight for yourself, whatever piece that was, maybe it was, I just need to listen to my intuition. I need to work that muscle. Maybe I do need to trust a little bit more that God has my back and that the universe is going to support me. Whatever it is, make that decision. And if you were sitting and thinking about those things as a child, that, you're like, I've always longed to do that, or I just know I should be, well, then make the decision. And if you need clarity in coaching, well, that's what we're here for. That's where the direction comes in, okay? And you heard Gail say she's done a lot of this. A lot of these things aren't necessarily new to any of us. But when we are ready, we will commit. When we're interested and curious, that's all it is. We kind of show up, but we don't really do anything with it. But then there's that timing factor again. that says, you know what, I'm ready for the direction. I'm ready for the support and the encouragement. So you heard the ladies earlier say they got in on the pre-launch, and I extended it a few more days until tomorrow, actually. It's a 12-week program. And it's all based on you were born to love. And so it includes 3 clarity coaching sessions. And you heard Gail say, you know, the first one already shifted her perception. And remember, I've got some freebies for you in a little bit, so just hang in there, okay? So you're going to get 3 sessions. You're also going to get 24-hour access to a membership-only website that has additional videos and resources. And you know, I'm putting 3 or 4 different, 5 different things in there to help you gain the clarity and the direction and the understanding, even through life experiences. Like I shared with you what happened in Peru. You know, maybe something will resonate for you that will help you along your path. You're also going to get 4 live webinars that are going to be exclusively for this gift and we have for this group. And then we have, of course, we have to have a Facebook support group. That is our mastermind group. That is where we are supporting and lifting each other. You know, Patty, I went in there today and I was scrolling down because yesterday I added a new member in there. And I'm so excited. And I realized the energy in that group is so strong and powerful as I'm reading the posts and the things that are happening and the realizations going on. So that is a priceless group in there to have that kind of support. But you're going to get an extra bonus, okay? And if you enroll by April 19th, you're going to get a free 1-hour soul purpose session. And that is part of my gifts. And so if you don't really know your soul purpose or you're not 100% sure, this is such a valuable tool that's going to help you realize what is blocking you from taking that step forward and what you're really here to do. And then when the book actually gets published, you're going to be one of the first to have a copy of this as part of the program. In the meanwhile, you're going to get the PDF pages so that you could follow along while we're launching the program. So what normally would be $1,000 value is only $500 until April 19th, which is 3 months of coaching, lots of freebies and savings. But here's the thing. Last time I made a different offer. So if you invite a friend and your friend enrolls, you are both going to receive an additional 1 hour of free coaching. That's $125 value for each of you. So there's another $250, but I'm going to make this better for you right now. If your friend enrolls, but you don't, I'm still going to give you the session. How's that? Okay. So maybe maybe the timing isn't right for you, but maybe you're thinking, oh my gosh, I know somebody that this would be perfect for them. They do enroll. They tell me your name and I see that you're on the roster. I'm going to be getting a hold of you and saying, let's do your 1 hour free session. That's pretty cool, huh? So just make a choice. That's all. It's making a choice and a decision to step into a life that you want to live. But I've got another bonus for you. Are you being called to explore? You saw some of the things that, you know, we were talking about earlier and how traveling has changed my life on so many levels. So if you're having a calling to one of the places that I've set up, I have another special offer coming up. I have 2 retreats coming up. Actually, I'm leaving in 2 days, which is why this offer is limited to this time frame, because we need to take care of it before I leave. I'm going to do a retreat in Costa Rica, and then I'm taking a side trip to Panama, and don't ask me why. I have no idea why I'm going to Panama. I'm being called there. So I'm excited to tell you about that when I get back. But what is in the plans is Italy, which is all around opening your senses and heightening your awareness, and Peru, because one of the gentlemen, not the one that said I love you, although he will be there, but his brother, he and a shaman are going to guide us through Peru to sacred sites and to do volunteer tourism. We will be working with the children. And so whether you want to sit over the Amalfi Coast and travel around the country with us, or you want to come to Machu Picchu and all the sacred sites, just listen like I did, because my heart, got healed in Peru, and my heart opened to the joy in Italy. I have no idea what things like this will bring for you, but they are transformational experiences. And if you sign up by May 10th, so you've got a little extra time there, you'll save $300 on one of these trips. So if you decide to do both, then you save $600, okay? So if that's a calling for you, don't make the excuses, make a choice. get in touch with me when I come back from Costa Rica, or tonight or tomorrow, and we can talk about this, okay? And if you pay in full by May 15th, so I'm giving you a little extra time, I'm going to give you a deck of the cards that I created, the Aloha message cards, which again were not on my to-do list, but they were a gift by listening to Spirit and putting these beautiful messages out, that they're valued at $45, plus a Life by Design reading that utilizes these cards, which was another gift that came through me. So if you pay in full by May 15th, you're going to get another value for a total value of $470, okay? So that's my gift to you. And like Oprah says, you got to find your tribe. Surround yourself with the people, only the people that are going to lift you up higher, that are going to support your dreams. So if they don't support your dreams, don't tell them anything right now, okay? Find your tribe. And if you don't know where that tribe is, well, I have a Facebook group. If you're not in there, please join us. Okay, message me, friend me on Facebook or whatever, and we will get you in there, because this private group is also a group where we have people from all over the world, Italy and everything, okay, all over, that go in there and support each other and encourage each other and lift each other up. So please join us, okay? Now, I told you about a gift, right? So I am going to send you a PDF downloadable gift of the first section of our first week of our program. Not the entire thing, because it's pretty long, but a section of it. And so you're going to get some of the tips and exercises that these gals have been doing, some of them already, but they're just getting it too. They just got it today. So you're stepping in with them, and some of these tips may very well shift your life before you even make any other decisions. But here I'm adding one more bonus, because some of you stayed on here until the end, and thank you so much. I'm going to give you a free 20-minute clarity coaching session if you get in touch with me in the next 24 hours. And why 24 hours? Because I'm getting out of a rut and into a hut in Costa Rica, and I am going off the grid and will not have access to those emails to respond to you. So you must get in touch with me within 24 hours if you want your free session, okay? So here's my contact information. You have a phone number and an email. You can go on my website and check out the trips if you are interested in those. But the most important thing and message that I want to put out there for you is attract what you love. List 10 things every single day and be mindful about it. And just like myself and Patty and Gail, our lives are shifting, and that beautiful energy of the things we love is coming to us. And I want you to listen and trust, you know, the feelings and the thoughts that are coming into your life, because you know what, life is short and life is precious. And just in this past week, and Patty too included, just told me about some deaths, you know, we just never know how one moment can change our entire life, whether to take us on a transformational journey or take us to another evolution in life. So if there is something that is reaching out and calling you right now, whatever that is, make a decision now to lift yourself up to where you want to go. And again, thank you, Patty, for being here. Thank you, all of you out there. And there will be a recording that will get sent to you. So if you want to re-listen and copy notes down next time, you'll be able to do that. But it's been a pleasure to be here with all of you. God bless. Thank you. My heart extends love to you. And may you attract what you love in life.